It is your main man, Chris Smith, and it is a new year, 2026. I am glad to be back here introducing you guys to another year and, of course, another impactful episode with none other than myself and, of course, a reoccurring guest on the line. This is somebody who you've heard before. You've heard him on the airways, and as a matter of fact, he recently just made an appearance on the Real Estate 101 show. We heard that was a great turnout, so I'm glad he got some time to stop by over here with us at Behind the Mic. None other than Toby Street, owner and founder of CBDME. Great afternoon, sir. How you doing?
Very good, Chris. Happy New Year to you.
Absolutely. Happy New Year. So before we just get down into the meat business and greedy, how was your New Year, man? How was your holidays?
They were fun. Very, very quiet. Our family's all scattered around the country, so it was my wife, me, and our dog enjoying a lot of food and good music and tons of football. So it was fun. It was low key, but a lot of fun. How about you? Did you have a nice time?
Absolutely. That sounds great, man. You know, it was the same over here, traveling, a lot of family and stuff like that. And the reason why I even asked is the traveling. There's a lot of people who I didn't realize experienced so many troubles and just uncomfortable moments actually traveling, flying around everywhere, things like that. And something that popped up in my mind was one of these times you hopped over on the airways and you spoke about just traveling safely with your products. Of course, your CBD products, things that could be able to help you just have an easier travel, easier flight, calm the anxiety down. And that was another reason why I was glad to kind of have you back on. So it was awesome, but this is the reason why I wanted to get you on the program. So I want to go ahead and just get right into the meat of it. Let's open up with your blog headline. You called this a landmark shift. We know that in December, I believe it was December 18th, Trump signed in a new executive order. But, of course, you are the expert, so I will let you break that down for the listeners, and let's get into it.
Sure, yeah, and you're right. It was December 18th. It's a big moment for consumers and really for the cannabis industry. And I don't know if you caught the live executive order signing in the Oval Office, but he was surrounded by just lots of experts, doctors, it was a moment of not full legalization. The executive order basically it directed federal agencies to reclassify cannabis from Schedule I to Schedule III under the Controlled Substances Act. And so what that means is that for the first time ever, the U.S. government is acknowledging finally that cannabis has medical use. What it didn't do is legalize cannabis nationwide, and it didn't open up recreational sales across state lines. It simply changed how the government is treating cannabis and is going to moving forward. So allowing, this is the big takeaway, allowing for medical research, that's the biggest takeaway, followed by fairer taxation and potentially smarter oversight, and oversight by the FDA, for example, is really just making sure that, people have crossed their T's, dotted their I's when it comes to providing secure, reliable hemp/cannabis drugs to the end user. So overall, it was a really, really big moment.
Your main man, Chris Smith, and we're coming back live with our exclusive interview with none other than owner and CEO of CBDME, Toby Street. When we left off on our previous question, we were speaking a bit more about, could you unpack why this matters so much for real science, doctors, and, of course, our patients? Toby, I'll let you go ahead and start it off.
Sure, Chris. Well, first of all, it's legitimizing what patients and doctors already know, that it helps people who are suffering from chronic pain, cancer patients, by lessening the effects of things like chemo treatment and a number of other conditions. And so it's allowing real clinical studies on dosage, safety, and the interactions. And it's finally bringing cannabis science out of the legal shadows and the dark ages and getting us into modern times. So basically, it's removing the handcuffs from scientists. And until now, cannabis research was nearly impossible because it was treated like heroin, and heroin's a Schedule I drug. And that's that is what marijuana, cannabis, was classified as. So the shift means that now universities, hospitals, licensed researchers can actually study the dosages, they can study interactions and the long-term effects of cannabis use, which obviously is going to take time. But for patients, it means future prescriptions and products are going to be based on real data, not guesswork, and not scare tactics of what could or could not work. So it's very, very positive for the medical field, and researchers are just thrilled by the order.
Wow. In the blog, you note that hemp and CBD products stayed legal, but the FDA could tighten oversight under this new framework. So my question to you would be, what should everyday consumers watch out for?
Well, consumers should really stay tuned into what they're buying and pay very close attention to the labeling on any products that they're purchasing. So they should expect clearer, more standardized labeling, more enforcement of testing claims. So when you're looking for a label on a jar of, let's say, some gummies, you want to look for the COA, or the Certificate of Analysis. And the good companies are going to have a QR code you scan in, and it's going to tell you what kind of contaminants, pesticides, etc., what levels of those components are in, or hopefully not in, the gummies or the vape or the flower that you're purchasing. So number one, front and center, clear labeling. It's going to protect a lot of people, and it's also going to weed out and eliminate a lot of the bad products that people are buying in gas stations, which don't have the labels. And the FDA is going to start requiring consistent ingredient panels. So there's no downside to it. It's going to, have the FDA acting on the ingredient panels, serving sizes, and then the certified proof of lab results. And it's good for safety, but it also means that some smaller or less transparent brands may disappear, which they should. And basically the takeaway is just for the consumer, stick with companies that already post third-party certificates of analysis and batch results. And that transparency is going to matter more than ever.
Federal tax laws can be a beast. Federal tax law currently hits the cannabis businesses hard under Section 280E. How could this rescheduling change the financial picture for state legal operators?
Yeah, well, Section 280E, it's been brutal. It stops cannabis businesses. It's prevented them from deducting normal expenses like payroll or rent, and rescheduling to this, fixes that. Once the change takes effect, and it's government, so it's going to take a little while. But once it takes effect, licensed operators can finally be taxed, just like any other small business. That means more reinvestment. It means better jobs. It means more jobs and lower costs for consumers down the road. And it plays right back into the what we were just talking about with, the new framework. What consumers are going to be watching out for. They are going to become more accustomed to seeing products which will have labels that have COAs on them. So, but the 280, Section 280 it's been very, very difficult for growth of cannabis producers, growers, retailers, anyone in the cannabis-centric industry, right down to shippers. It's affecting everybody across the board. And again, really, really good news.
Some listeners might be confused with the rescheduling underway and all of these different changes, and this is amidst the recent news, of course, following what the president had laid out. With this rescheduling underway, does that mean, marijuana is now federally legal? Or, how do we explain the difference between rescheduling and legalization?
Yeah, so no, answer is no. Rescheduling is not legalization. It's not a complimentary ticket to venture into the Wild West, which the industry has been viewed as recently, in recent years, even after the 2018 Farm Bill. So no, it's not legalization. Rescheduling, plain and simple, it's a medical and scientific change, and it moves cannabis into a category. It's saying, hey, this has accepted medical use. So a Schedule 3 now puts it into a recognized medical use of the plant. So legalization is going to require Congress to rewrite federal law to allow recreational sales. So in short, it's Washington saying, hey, we'll study it seriously, and not you can buy it everywhere. That's short, plain and simple. That's what it is. So it's not legalizing it.
And, I just can't help to also think about how many people has been affected by this before this even came out, the people who may still be locked up from certain things of this nature, and how is this all shifting and changing, and what does that may mean for their life. But that could be a later type thing. It also brings me to, you mentioned that administration will work with Congress to update the definition of hemp-derived cannabinoid products. Why is that a big deal for products like Delta-8, THCA, or full-spectrum CBD? Well,
the hemp market's been running pretty much in a legal gray zone since the 2018 Farm Bill. And so what this is doing, the order is going to, it's clarifying what counts as hemp, especially around total THC limits. And it will decide whether products like Delta-8 or THCA are going to stay on shelves, or if they're going to be moved into a tighter regulation. So that's all to be seen. But done right, done right, this protects consumers and supports legitimate lab-tested brands instead of the rogue chemistry labs making unsafe products, which does happen. So there's been discussion around Delta-8, and Delta-8 is a cannabinoid that's found in the plant, but in very, very low amounts. So Delta-8 products have been synthesized in a lab, which has raised a lot of red flags for people unnecessarily in many instances. But and Delta-8 is considered kind of a middle of the road, not as intense as Delta-9, and it's just considered a very, very soft THC component. So it's a big deal for Delta-8 and THCA, which is also the non-psychoactive compound found in marijuana, cannabis, hemp buds until a heating element has been put to it, in which case it becomes THC. So it's gonna force tighter regulation around THCA, and if it's done correctly, then it's going to protect consumers all around. But it's a big deal for all of them. And for full spectrum CBD is CBD that contains trace amounts of THC, which is the compound that does cause a high, or the psychoactive. That's what full spectrum CBD is. Broad spectrum CBD contains no traceable amounts of THC in it, and that's what a lot of people are taking just for daily wellness routines, if that helps.
Toby Street, owner and founder of CBDME, Toby Street. Currently, we are discussing the recent executive order from Trump, kind of laying out some things he previously had came on the program to debunk it, but now, of course, we are getting the context. Many people are worried about the timelines, brother. What's the realistic path for this rescheduling process through the DEA, HHS, and the public review? And when might consumers expect some tangible change?
Chris, as we know, the government does not ever, they never run in a sprint. So their processes are slow. And the DEA still have to publish a proposed rule. They have to receive public comments, and then after they've digested all of that, then they'll issue a final ruling. So, in all likelihood, it's going to be late 2026 when we see any of these processes really come to light. So nothing's going to change overnight, but it is real progress. And the key takeaway is that it's begun. The process has officially started, and momentum is on the side of reform. And I think we're going to hear between now and the end of this year, you're going to be hearing from doctors, from researchers who are going to probably be more emphatic, speaking with the related government agencies about what their findings are, even if they're preliminary findings. Those findings are now going to be front and center and not kind of tucked away and not talked about until they have X amount of years of research done. So as far as timelines go, it's the government. It's probably going to be late in this year, but it is. I would just look at it as very, very real progress.
Wow. Toby, I know we're approaching the end, but I still got another question for you before we wrap up. I'm going to go to a commercial break really quick, and we'll be right back. You're tuned in to Behind the Mic. We are back live, currently speaking with owner and founder of CBDME, Toby Street. We left off on our final question, which is, finally, based on your blog and industry trends, what's your one takeaway for people at home who use hemp or CBD products or care about cannabis reform right now at this moment? Speak to them.
Sure, Chris. I think that the biggest takeaway from this for you and me and anybody else listening is stay informed, don't get alarmed, and keep buying. And if you're not continuing to buy, start buying lab-tested, transparent products that have COAs, on the container, on the jar, the bottle, and basically policy is catching up to science. It's not the other way around. So those are really the big takeaways that I see or that I've gotten out of this. The executive order, it's a progress. It's the real first acknowledgement that cannabis has legitimate medical value. So consumers should keep supporting transparent hemp and CBD brands that publish lab results and educate buyers. And that's something that my company, CBDME, which is spelled CBDEEME, we have a learning hub that is continuously growing, and we're out there to help educate buyers and to put them in touch with products that are reputable. But consumers continue to do your research. And we're one of those companies that are shaping what the future of cannabis will look like: safer, smarter, and more science driven. So those are more than one or two big takeaways, but those are really the big ones. I can just kind of end this question on a note. I never thought in a million years, or maybe you didn't either, that President Trump would be sitting in the Oval Office and talking to his top admin, what's on the schedule today? Oh, Mr. President, you're going to be signing an executive order, don't forget, directing the federal government to reclassify marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. I never thought we'd hear that. So it's been an exciting past month or so.
Wow, and like we said, it's always interesting hearing the other perspectives from it, especially from a business perspective and somebody who actually owns a company from it. I think we hear a lot of also, because at the same time, it's also, like I said a bit earlier, people who's is incarcerated from, this type of things. Like, what does that mean for them? And there's so many changes with that. So, one, we appreciate you always coming on and just giving us up-to-date information. But two, we appreciate you also having the resources on your actual page yourself in so many different ways. So once again, let people know how we can be able to follow you, support, and also be able to shop on your site.
Sure. And Chris, it's always a pleasure speaking with you too. And these are conversations I could probably have all day and all night long, to the point where my wife would probably kill me and say, time to go to bed. But so for anyone looking to really kind of stay in touch with it, my site company is CBDME.com. We've got a great learning center. I would encourage anyone who's visiting to sign up for our newsletter. It's a free newsletter that I put out each week called the Weekly Buzz, and we typically have product features in it and information like you and I are talking about. What's going on in the industry? Are there any new government regulations? It's a constant, or it has been in the past, a constant circus of what's legal now and where. I mean, even in Georgia, if you wanted to buy a THC seltzer in Forsyth County, they're going to say, sorry. If you want to go to Cherokee County, they'll say, yep, we carry them. So there's so much minutia out there in terms of legalities. But I would say, sign up for our newsletter. We keep people posted as often as we can with any kind of breaking news about, as an end user, what you need to know about. If you want to buy your Delta-9 gummies that you take for relaxation or anxiety, go to our site and check it out. We're constantly evolving.
Toby Street. Thank you so much again, man. We wish you the best, all right? We'll be right back on the other side. You're tuned in to Behind the Mic.